Hello everyone, this is me Amaan Quasim. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to discuss something very new and something very different from what we usually discuss here in my YouTube channel. And yeah, so let's deep dive into the video and see what we can learn from this video. Actually, this is a case study, and this is an idea that came into my mind when I was in my college attending lectures. So yeah, let's discuss about that. So, have you ever wondered like why startup and systems like shared bicycle and rented bicycles or bike systems are very prevalent in countries like China, Germany, Japan, Korea, etc. And why these countries are not as prevalent and as relevant is in countries like India. So usually 5 to 6 years back, when I was actually in Prayagraj, I do see these systems. Like I saw so many shared bicycle stations and stop where generally the students will go and they use the bicycle, and then they put it back into the allotted like bicycle sharing stations and they use. But nowadays I see them nowhere anywhere in India. And these actually 5 to 6 years back, these systems were a little bit relevant in cities like Delhi, Prayagraj, Lucknow, and in many of the bigger cities, or even in universities and campuses like IIT Madras, IIT Kharagpur. So the sharing bicycle system was there. But now what happens that it feels brutally, it feels heavily in countries like India. And on the other hand, the countries like China, Japan, Germany, they are making billion and dollars of money on such systems. Or you can see the startup that this startup is a new one, and they use it to the fullest potential. That there are almost 6 to 7 very big billion-dollar companies in China and other countries. So we are going to do a case study on that as well. That what is the reason for the failure of such system or such startups in India, and and it is prevailing in countries like China, Japan, and Germany. So we will do this case study through PPT, which I prepared so that we can understand it in a better way. Because visually and graphically we can understand. And I also had some videos that I'm going to show over this screen so that everybody can understand it in a better way. Now, as you can see on the screen that this is a PPT which I'm going to share to you all. So this PPT is going to discuss that why shared bicycles from a great idea to a real challenge is actually in India, and why it is a case of success story in countries like China, Japan, and Germany, and it is a case of failure or struggle in countries like India. So we are going to unlock all the challenges that are there and how we can overcome those challenges, and we can engineer the better solutions. Because as a quote says, every problem has a root cause, but every system has a better design to overcome that root cause. So yeah, let's discuss this thing, and I hope everybody of you can take benefit from this. So now I'm going to play So now I'm going to play a video that why countries like Beijing in China, Macau, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, Germany loves bicycle sharing. And let's start with this video and let's deep dive into this video.
More and more people across Beijing are choosing to ride bicycles. Hundreds of blue, green, and yellow bicycles can be seen parked outside metro stations. These shareable bicycles, belonging to three different private companies, have made cycling hassle free and popular. One can unlock a bicycle by scanning a QR code using a mobile app, ride it, and park it at a different stand and pay using the same app.
I have been using shareable cycles for over 5 years. Every city
Bicycle track, which is 6 There are separate bicycle lanes in most parts of the city. The government has built a 6.5 kilometers dedicated 3-lane bicycle track, which is 6 meters wide in the northwest part of the city. About 3 kilometers of this is an elevated bicycle lane that runs over the main roads. The sight of cyclists ruling the roads in cities and towns in China over the years is not unusual though. China was often recognized as the kingdom of bicycles. But in the early 1990s, the number of buses on the roads increased, and in the later half of the 1990s, people started buying more cars. However, people
uh, the systems like bicycle sharing is very common in countries like China and Japan, and it is not. So you can see the patterns here that why they love bicycle sharing is that there's a effort that is both from the public side and from the government side. The government has built different lanes, 3 lanes, 4 lanes, and they have built a proper structure and they have built a proper infrastructure so that these systems like bicycle sharing systems can work there. But in countries like India there is no such systems, and yeah, so that can be one of the reason and for failure. So we are going to deep dive into the video, and we are going to discuss more about like why it's not a very success in India, and I hope you all like it. So let's go and start with our another slide where we will discuss the introduction and more about problem. We will deep dive more into the problem. So we are going to understand the deep root cause and why we are discussing this topic. And yeah, so let's get into that and let's hope everybody take the more advantage from it. So you can see that what we are going to discuss in this case study, a complete journey from problem to smart solution. First of all, we are going to understand what a shared bicycle system is, how it works in countries, and how it works in every country. Also, the same procedure was also developed in India as well, but it became a failure. So, why it failed in many Indian cities? We are going to do a comparative study in China versus India, and then what will be the solutions and the smart improvements that can be done in our country, India, and what can be the future possibilities and what can be the uh, like how startup can utilize these opportunities and how what is the root cause of that. So we will analyze, understand, innovate, and we will build a better impact on the society for this, which better systems means better cities and better cities means better future. So yeah, so I hope the thing is that we are not, I'm not going to discuss on the like purely on the basis of a PPT. Now I'm going to discuss what I have seen. So why it became a failure in countries like India is due to many is due to many reasons, and initially, shared bicycle systems were introduced to provide affordable rates where students live. Like if they're going to buy a bicycle, it will be definitely be costly. Suppose they are going to live in a city and they're going to live there only for 6 months, 7 months. Then buying a whole bicycle of 20,000 to 15,000, it's not something which is like uh, budget friendly, I would say. And in a student life, also we don't have that much money to buy and invest in, and then we are going to leave that side. So that's not also sustainably good. So we will come so India came with a solution where we would they would install a number of bicycles, and for each use the what user will do or what students generally will do or even anyone can do is that they can take the bike, they can scan the QR code that is on the bike, they have to download an app. So after downloading the app they would definitely they have to make a payment or real time payment should be there, and then they when after using it they are going to like leave the bicycle at different station which is near to their destination. So yeah, so but it comes with a lot of problems. So Indian studies have struggles like adopting this shared bicycle system due to first of all, abandonment of the cycles, vandalism, poor parking discipline, low user accountability, and high operational cost. So also the people, the lack of civic sense in people is one of the main reason. So this case study will we are going to investigate in this case study why these failures occurs, how we can improve them, and so that it can improve the effectiveness of shared bicycle systems in India. So the core problems is that bicycles are abandoned. Users try to avoid the payment. They should generally what they do is that they have very less amount in their wallet of the app, and after using it, they would uninstall the app and then they will never use it. And third thing is that vandalism and thefts is also one of the reasons. Like some of the people, some of thief and all, they would go to such stations and they will do any tricks and tips to just take those cycles out of the station. So such thing is also there. And the infrastructure in India is also one of the biggest problems, that there is no such infrastructure that is being developed, because such systems, not only the entrepreneur or the private companies have to handle these, because there should be a proper communication and proper thing should be between the government and the entrepreneur or the private company, so that these can run smoothly, so that public can use this more effectively. And also the other thing is that the apps are not that good. There are not so many big companies. And I would like to add one more reason, and that is that countries like India, people don't want to like they, for a small distance they would like walking rather than using bicycle. So that is also one of the reason that why people don't like using shared bicycle. And also it comes with a sense of what to say, some people like a very few people, they feel a little bit uncomfortable by doing such sharing bicycles. And there's a also more importantly, you can say there's a sense of what to say, people tag it as like economically viable, but they don't want to show their status like they are using the shared bicycle systems and all. So now this thing is, can this be improved? Can a smarter, technology-driven and behavior-focused bicycle sharing system make shared mobility successful in Indian cities? Can this be happen in India? So we are going to discuss more. The challenge is not the bicycle actually. The challenge is designing a system that people can use responsibly and cities can sustain efficiently. So now we are going to see one more video, that how shared bicycle things works in countries like China and Japan, and it's a failure in countries like India, etc. So yeah, so now we are going to see one more video, that how shared bicycle systems work in successful countries like China, and then we are going to draw some inspirations from that, and then we are going to use the same for to do the case study. Yeah, so let me just use the
After a 2-hour drive from Beijing, I arrived at this factory at a suburb in North China's Tianjin that had produced the country's first bicycle, the Flying Pigeon. It has since reinvented itself as the contractor of the online bicycle sharing platform known as OFO. About 70 workers keep the assembly line going with a daily output of 2,000 bicycles. That's 15 seconds for every bicycle produced. They line up prefabricated yellow bicycles
which is how this bicycle systems work in countries like China.
The last mile has always been a problem in major cities like New York City, Beijing, and Shanghai. But thanks to new bicycle sharing companies like Mobike and OFO, things might finally change. Founded in April 2016, Mobike has created FAD in Beijing, as it features mobile technology and low prices for short distance traveling. This company said it has about 30,000 bicycles spreading across Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, catering to 74 million people. China Matters wanted to try it out for ourselves. Hey, this is downtown Beijing where traffic is a big problem. If you don't want to get bored in a bumper-to-bumper traffic jam, try riding a mobike. Now, I've tracked down one mobike on its app. Before you ride a bike, all you need to do is to scan the QR code. Alright, it's unlocked now. Let's go. Not bad. But the bicycle is not so fast. But thinking about the price, you only have to pay 1 yuan, which is about 15 cents for any trip within half an hour. It's really cheap for any short distance trip. After the ride, you don't have to worry about returning the bike. You just find a public space and put it here, lock it, just to make sure the next rider will easily find it. In fact, bicycle sharing companies have appeared in large cities such as Beijing over the past few years, but most public bike companies ended up quitting the market. In June 2015, 2,000 OFO bikes showed up on the campus of Peking University, and they have slowly grown ever since. It is the country's largest bike sharing platform, with over 85,000 OFO bikes running on 50 Chinese colleges. While these bikes initiate a new trend, some issues still occur, such as the app's poor design or parking problems. Bike sharing has had a difficult past, but now OFO and Mobike has attracted capitals from major players like Alibaba and Didi. Only time will tell if this new trend will last past winter.
I have shown you two videos, two very important videos that how these shared bicycles did manufacture in countries like China. Like from the video, they have it's stated that they produced one cycles per 15 seconds. That is shared bicycles, and it's in such a very big infrastructure, and you can see that the government there is also helping them because and why it is very relevant in countries like China. Also, it should be relevant in India also, but I know there are reasons that why it is not relevant in countries like China. This is relevant because of the fact that traffic there is very more. So a very convenient option is to use the bicycle. So when you use the bicycle, what happens is that we don't have to run through the traffic, and we can easily uh, go through the traffic. So that is the one reason. And second, I also saw that did you saw that how those companies, those big companies like Alibaba and many companies, they were manufacturing bicycles. They were proper lock systems, proper QR code systems, and they have everything in a very systematic way they are doing. So that's why the infrastructure is a very good in those countries. Now coming up to India, that why in India such system is failing and how it can be improved. So first of all, we one thing I definitely can say is that the government help is needed so much. The government need to initiate such startups. They need to promote such startup first of all. Second thing, as you see in the video, that in countries like China, these options are very cheap. So, as I guess, these are still like the one that were used to be running previously in countries like, sorry, in cities like Prayagraj and Delhi. So those were might be cheaper, but the government can impose more cheaper options, and they can put tag, and they can to identify each bicycles that belongs to the shared system. They can put a tag, and they can put a proper identification for each of the bicycle, and they can track the location of each cycle. So first of all, the entrepreneur need to come up, lots of people or entrepreneur need to come up, the private companies need to deal with and have a collaboration with government, and then people who already worked in such system from in countries like China, Japan, etc. They need to collaborate with government, and they need to find a better solution that how they can improve this. Now, coming to India, the problem basically is due to certain things. First of all, people have lack of civic sense, so they don't know where to. put the cycle, where to. So if any bad thing happens, they will vandalize the cycle, or they will abandon the cycle in the middle of the road. So yeah, proper utilization of the app should also be there. And as you can see in the countries like China, they have not a proper locations or a proper stations for what to say, for these shared bicycles to drop. They have, I think it's just the parking area where they can drop. So there is no stations for these things. So if that thing is going to be there in India, then that's going to be easy. Suppose if because of the lack of money in their wallet of the user, suddenly the bicycle gets locked, so they can drop it off in a very nearby parking station. So a huge number of parking station, or you can say a huge number of in other way, a huge number of station or for parking these shared bicycles also need to be improved, also need to be installed. That is all going to be done with the help of government, because without government nothing can be done. So yeah, government plays a major role in this. And yeah, so that is why in countries these systems are failed. So let's deep dive also some more. I know it's a very big video, but this is something like which I was very more invested from past few days. So I thought to make a very dedicated video for this, so that people can understand that why these systems are not relevant in countries like India, while it is relevant in countries like Japan and China. So as you can see in the slide, that you can see that uh, also from the video we have saw that how this shared bicycle system works. So what happens is that we have to open an app. In that app, we should there's a wallet. Through that app we can track the nearest bicycle that is there available in our surroundings, or in our like yeah, in our neighborhood. So we will go to that bicycle, we will scan the QR code, and then we will scan and unlock. That thing can only be done unless or until we don't have a, we should have a amount in our wallet in that app. There should be a minimum amount that should be maintained in that app. That could be a suggestion that I want to give, that suppose if the user have selected from destination A to B, so for that we need to calculate how much amount should be there. So suppose if the user wants to go from A to B, that much money should, at least that much money should be there in his wallet. If it is not there, the bicycle should not unlock. So that is one reason how the system can be more prevalent in India, or it can be improved in India. Then what the user drive the bicycles, and uh, on the same go, the real time tracking of the bicycle and the user is going uh, through which the distance and the time of the person choosing the bicycle is calculated, and based on that the amount and the fare is also being calculated. Suppose he has taken the same distance, but he has used the bicycle for more time. So suppose if that is one problem. Suppose if he wants to go from A to B, but he used the bicycle from going A to C to B, from A to point C, then to point D to point E, and then to B. So in that case, he have used a lot of cities. So in that case, he have misused that thing. So that also we need to keep tracking that where he is going and how much time he is doing. And then after doing, he need to go and park the thing in the allotted area or the allotted parking zone, and then payment that will be auto deducted from the wallet. But there's a thing also this there's a problem in this payment method. Um, that can be discussed, so that this method can also be improved. So in India, it operates in many cities like Bangalore, Delhi, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, Coimbatore, etc. Why it matters? Because it is eco-friendly. It allows us to use bicycle, which has zero carbon emissions almost. It is affordable. People can use it in a very low cost. It is accessible. Anybody can use it. It's there's no discrimination for the people to use it, and it also reduces congestion. It is very useful in less traffic area. So what is the current challenges? So in India, the main challenges are abandonment, vandalism and damage, high maintenance costs, low awareness and usage, and the lack of civic sense in people. What I can say is that India has the potential to grow such startup and such system. The system exists, but the challenge is to make it sustainable, disciplined, and user friendly. So the according to me, these are all of the points which I have think. So first of all, there is also the lack of the guards and supervisor in what to say, in the proper stations. We need to install. We need to hire people or the guard for these particular stations. Suppose if that is not possible, or that is not feasible, or that is very costly, what we can do is that we can have three or four more stations, and we can assign one guard for those three four stations. And so that way we can also that will be cost effective, and in that way we can do. But there is a lack of supervisors. So to address that problem, we need to hire guards and supervisor, and we need to deploy staff. Other thing also is that we can use camera, real time camera. We can use at every station. So online monitoring can also be done, so that there is no vandalism, theft should go on. Second thing is that wallet balance and payment issues. Sometimes users run out of balance delivery rights, stop using the app, and company faces revenue loss. So what is a smart payment system that can be done is that we should have a deposit while installing the app. We should ask every users to have a security deposits, and we will do real time tracking and low balance alerts as soon as the money gets reduced, to prevent unpaid rights and revenue loss. Now, low dependence on cycles, that's what I already discussed. So what can be done that the people who are less dependent on bicycle can use the bicycle, because it's also user environment friendly, eco friendly, and sustainable. So promote bicycles for specific short distances needs, like metro station to office, college. So college is a very good place where we can promote such things, because in most of the college bikes are not allowed. So these shared bicycle things can be used in colleges. So, and also the government can play a major role, that they can promote bicycles and these companies, and yeah, so the government can also promote, or like improve, like they can aware the people about these things. And then theft and lack of civic sense is also one of the major problem. Bicycles are stolen, misused, or taken away from stations, causing more damage and loss for operators. So what we need to do is that we need to aware people. We need to improve civic responsibility. We need to have awareness campaigns, user verification, rewards for good behavior, and strict actions against theft. So this is the thing. I have done a proper case study, and I have done these things, and I hope there's a huge opportunity for such system, and for such uh, for many startup companies to scale this business into billion-dollar big companies. Like in China, the companies like Alibaba, Didi, and you can say Dodo. There are so many companies. There are 4 to 5 big billion-dollar companies are there, which only runs for rented bicycles, and they are making huge profit. But this can be a very sustainable and environment friendly project in India also. It exists, but there are major problems that is there in India. So these things, in this way we can say that shared bicycle systems have a great potential to solve last mile connectivity and promote sustainable urban mobility in India. But due to struggle, due to management, due to the struggle in the management is very bad, and the lack of promotion by government, or lack of improving the infrastructure by the government. So there's a what you can say, there's a mixed collaboration between these entrepreneurs, these private companies who are manufacturing these bicycles. There should be a collaboration, and a very good collaborations, a real time collaborations between government, private companies, and entrepreneurs, to make it to scale in a big way. So yeah, this is all about today's video, and I hope I this is more than enough. I know it's very big video, but this is something which is like I have thought from very long back, and I thought I am going to share this video at any cost. So I hope you all like this video, and this is a case study which is very good. And yeah, that's all.